Hey, Super Slot 75 movie reviews with a twist. We're here to talk about Halloween, the official sequel to the first Halloween that came out in 1978, I believe. This is the official sequel. All those prior sequels, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think 4 was the one like Season of the Witch. I forget. All those don't matter. Didn't exist, never happened, never took place. This is the official canon sequel to Halloween, and I do want to say, for the most part, it lived up to the hype for me. 90% of the movie I was all in for. The ending left me a little bit disappointed, a little bit left. I felt a little bit of letdown. Okay, so let's get into it. These documentary couple, the British couple, come to the state mental hospital to interview Michael. Michael is an older grizzled veteran. He has the scar on his left eye. He's got a beard. The male documentary guy pulls out the mask, and then all the other inmates start going crazy. Michael doesn't say anything. It's Michael still imposing. Same guy from prior Halloween, but didn't say anything. So the doctor who was Loomis's student end up becoming the ward or the head care physician for Michael, and he's read all the case files and all this stuff. So he has a weird fascination with Michael, which will come to the end, towards the end of the movie. It will come out to show itself. Okay, so they're going to transfer Michael to and a bunch of inmates or a bunch of patients to a lesser secure, less friendly environment, facility. Laurie Strode, 40 years later, still, living her life as Michael's going to come back 40 years after the fact. It's decimated a relationship with her daughter and granddaughter. She raised her daughter much like Terminator 2, how Sarah Connor did young John to prepare him for Skynet's arrival. And then when it does show up, he was like, oh my God, she was right the whole time. Same instance here. So right now, Laurie's daughter resents the mother for how she raised her, taught her how to shoot and fight and make bombs and hot bomb shelters in case Michael shows up, whatever the case may be. Kind of just basically ruined her childhood. Granddaughter is alienated, but granddaughter is like, it's still grandmama. I want to include her in the family, yada yada. So we get to the transfer. Michael is implied that he attacks one of the guards. The bus crashes. This son and father and son stumble upon the accident scene. And let me just say, the kill count in this movie, I lost count at 10. But the kills were creative, very visceral, very brutal. Michael runs through everybody like a buzzsaw. Nobody stands toe-to-toe with Michael. The one problem I had is the only person that was able to stand like literally toe-to-toe with Michael was Laurie, which was ridiculous because the way Michael beat up the male documentary person in the bathroom, just kept bashing his head against the stall. The guy didn't stand a chance. And mind you, the guy himself was a roughly 6'2", 6'3" himself, and just ransacked him. Okay, so the dad gets out, and then the dad's not seen. Then the son gets out. He goes to the cop. Cop's injured. Then he goes to the bus. The doctor that's in charge of Michael wakes up. The kid shoots him by accident. And then so the kid goes back to the bus. And then Michael kills the kid. Never have we seen in Halloween an underage child be murdered by a serial killer. The slasher horror genre that was on life support is back, if you ask me. Michael, this one here is going to regenerate the slasher horror theme, I believe. All we need is a proper Jason Voorhees film to complement this one, and we'll be back on square one. So he strangles the kid in the truck. Then Michael goes into the one particular town gas station, right? The same documentary couple pull up in the same gas station. Now there's one shot where Michael is seen in white walking. It's a blurred background. There's one lady in a van, and the male guy gives her a peace sign and trying to be friendly. She does one of these. Because she's trying to warn the guy, hey, there's some weird guy that just walked into the bathroom or walked into the gas station. Of course, he didn't know what she was referencing. He just thought she was just weird. But you saw the screen. I think a lot of people missed Michael walking in white in the blurred background, and then the lady in the van kind of like, her eyes like, yo, did you just not see what I just saw? So The female investigative reporter goes to the bathroom. So this is where the scene where Michael pounds on the door and drops the teeth in the stall where the lady's using the bathroom at. Michael had already killed the mechanic and the clerk. Brutal fashion. The clerk's his jaws all just busted open on the counter. His teeth are missing. So then he starts to attack the woman, and then she's screaming. Of course, her partner, the guy, he walks in. The clerk sees the clerk dead. He sees the mechanic dead, and then he goes in and confronts Michael with the crowbar. Hits Michael one time with the crowbar, and that was it. Michael just pretty much beat him to a pulp, bashed his head against the wall, then it bashed his head against the stall repeatedly. And he's like, get out, run. And he gets a hold of the other woman, strangles her. So then Mike gets in their car, retrieves the mask, gets in the car and drives to Haddonfield, right? So then there's a party. Laurie's granddaughter goes to this high school party. Then you have this whole dynamic between Laurie and her mother and yada, yada, yada. So then let's get to the kills. So the kills were creative, I thought. Like I said, very brutal, very graphic, as it should be properly. So Michael basically goes from house to house killing people, in a nutshell. And and so he kills hits the lady in the head with the hammer at the kitchen table, grabs a knife. He ends up killing the babysitter. There's a babysitter when he's in the closet, and he stabs her. Little boy gets out. Her boyfriend runs in to help. Of course, he gets nailed in the back of the neck and hung against the wall, impaled against the wall. One particular lady, he sneaks into her house and she's looking out the window. He grabs her from behind and stabs her in the neck. Just a killing machine. The one thing I had a problem with, they took away the supernatural aspect of Michael per se. Remember in the first Halloween and all the Halloweens afterwards, there's always this hint of supernatural abilities that he had. There's always the legend of Sam Hain, or the spirit of Sam Hain had chose Michael to be its killing machine. Why he does what he does, because he's possessed by the spirit of Sam Hain. You know who Sam Hain is? The spirit of Halloween and all that good stuff, evil stuff, right? They took away that. Basically, Michael is just a demonic, mentally ill person that just wants to kill people, namely Laurie, for whatever reason. They really couldn't really get into it per se. Okay, so one of the sheriff, played by Will Patton, he was one of the first responders in the first Halloween that prevented Loomis from killing Michael to begin with. Okay, so now you got dead bodies starting to show up. Everyone's getting worried. They come across the scene in the gas station. So now you got the sheriff and the U.S. Marshal working hand in hand to kind of track Michael down. They go to Haddonfield. More bodies show up. Laurie's granddaughter is walking home with her little fat friend. The little fat friend tries to make a move on her. She gets mad. So the one scene where before the little fat friend gets killed, they're in someone's backyard. Motion lights go off and on, and you see Michael moving in different positions, and this is really creepy as shit. So the last time you see the lights come on, you see Michael, and he slashes the kid, and the kid's trying to run away. He gets on the gate. He's like, help, and stabs him in the back. So by the time Laurie's granddaughter comes to see what happened, he's impaled through a gate through his jaw. That was brutal. I loved it. Funny thing was, you had people in the audience actually yelling at the characters. You know how it used to be in scary movies? You go to the theater and they're like, girl, don't do that. Don't go in there. Run. He's right behind you. They were shouting this in the movie. Hilarious. We were all into it. We were laughing. We were cringing. We were clapping. I loved it. I loved that atmosphere. Okay, so now getting on to Michael Rampage continued. So the sheriff and the marshal bring the doctor. He's come out of his little coma because he got shot by the sun in the earlier bus crash. He comes to. They take him, bring him on because he's a Michael Myers expert. So what ends up happening is he's with the sheriff, right? And they all get Laurie and her husband, Laurie and her daughter, her husband, and they're looking for the granddaughter. So they all take him to the house, to Laurie's house. Laurie's house is basically a trap designed for Michael. We initially thought it was a defensive setup, a house to keep him out. Actually, it was designed to keep him in, which would be shown towards the end of the movie. Very, very crafty, I thought, but still a lot of stretching, unrealistic situations, but nonetheless. So then they find Laurie's granddaughter. They're on the way to bring her to Lori's house in the woods. Now, mind you, it's the sheriff and the doctor and the granddaughter. So they see Michael, and the sheriff runs him over, hits him. Michael's unconscious. The doctor, with his crazy ass, he has his fascination of like, I always wanted to know what it's like to kill, because he always wanted to get in the mind of Michael and wanted to know what Michael felt when he killed people. So, as the sheriff is standing over with the gun pointed towards Michael, he wants to shoot Michael. The doctor pulls out his pen and clicks the button and has this blade at the end of it, stabs the sheriff. He kills the sheriff. He grabs Michael's mask. He puts Michael's mask on. And all the while, the granddaughter is locked in the back of the truck. Just like, what the hell? And he wanted to feel the spirit of Michael, see what it felt like to kill. He drags Michael's body, throws Michael's body in the back seat with the granddaughter, with his mask. And they're on the way to Lori's house. There's 2 other officers already waiting. Then Michael wakes up, kicks the guard, like the railing, it keeps the prisoner separate from the cops. He kicks that in, basically crushes the doctor in the driver's seat. Lori's granddaughter gets out, escapes, runs towards the woods, stumbling onto grandmother's house, or to Lori's house. Meanwhile, the 2 sheriffs come to see what's going on. Michael does a flip switch. He's behind them somehow. Ends up killing those guys. Drives the sheriff's car to the house. Lori's daughter's husband, or her son-in-law, comes out to see what's going on. They're dead. He gets strangled. And then Michael makes his way into the house. And then somehow he gets to the scene where Michael basically is trying to strangle Lori through the door with the glass doors. She grabs a shotgun, shoots Michael's 2 fingers off, right? So then they go down to the, I guess what you would call it, the basement, the basement, right? So then granddaughter stumbles on to the place. Lori's going through the house, trying to secure the house, looking for Michael. They come to the final room where Michael attacks her. Lori in the room again. She throws, perfect homage to the original. So Michael throws her out the window. Now remember in the first one, Michael got shot by Loomis, falls out the window, and you see his body, the shot. Then the next shot, he's not there. Same thing here. When Lori fell out the window, you look the shot, her body's there. Then Michael looks again, she's not there. Perfect homage to the original Halloween. I liked it. I caught it. I liked it. Okay. And then, so the granddaughter comes in the house, and so the mom's like, come downstairs. He's coming. Okay. So then Michael basically finds out where they're hiding and rips the counter apart off its hinges. And so then the daughter grabs a shotgun. It says KS for Carrie Strode, because that's her favorite shotgun, whatever case may be. So the daughter plays real meek and humble. Is like, I'm scared. Please don't do this, Mom. Come out, or I can't. She's playing coy. So then Michael shows up right at the top of the steps, and she says, gotcha. And she shoots him dead in his face, right here in the face. Mike goes down, and then Lori comes from behind him, starts to stab Mike. Once again, this is the second hand-to-hand combat encounter that Laurie Strode is able to survive with Michael, which is unrealistic because Michael runs through everybody like a freight train. He's a freight train. You cannot beat Michael Myers in a one-on-one fight. This is not hand-to-hand combat, but for some reason, this woman can survive a knife fight with Michael and all types of attempts with Michael in close quarters combat. So she ends up stabbing him. He falls down the stairs into the basement. They're all trying to get out the basement. Grabs the daughter's leg. The granddaughter stabs him, right? And then the killer part, or the kicker, is Lori hits the latch and these bars close in. And they say, oh, this house was not designed. It wasn't designed to keep Michael out. It was a trap for Michael, right? And so then he's trapped at the bottom of the stairs. He's looking through the bars. He's just standing there looking at him. So then Lori hits the ignition switch. In every room in the house, there is an open gas line with a poker that gets hot. And what happens is all the gas lines in a particular part of the house hit the red hot poker and ignites, setting the house entirely on fire. So as they set the house on fire in each room, it's pretty ingenious. And you see Michael at the top of the stairs, and he's basically on fire. They run out the house, the granddaughter, Lori, and the daughter, and end scene. But if you stick around to the end credits, you will hear Michael breathing at the end. So he's not dead. There's going to be a trilogy to this one. I liked it. The ending was a little bit flat for me. I was a little bit disappointed in the ending, but for the most part, 90% of the way, I was all in. I was like, Team Michael, kill everybody, dude. Just kill everybody. Get them. So that is my movie review for Halloween. Super Slide 75 movie reviews with a twist. Y'all have a good one. Peace.